Hello YouTube, welcome to Young Martin's Reels. Today's project is going to be taking two Daiwa AS4050 reels and turning them into one good one, including a field fix for the anti-reverse claw. So let's get going on this. First off, I've got this one. This one Mario brought into me back around September last year. And when we tried to take it apart and clean it up, what we found was that the drag was frozen up in it, and the knob had actually, the plastic knob had actually snapped off down inside it. You can't get parts for it anymore. So it's like, well, what are we going to do with that? And it also has a broken foot. So between those two, it's like, well, okay, I think this is pretty much becoming a parts reel. Aside from that, the reel operated smooth, the bail flipped, it did everything it was supposed to. It's got the right handle on it, all those things. And so he hadn't picked it up yet, and I still had hold of it. And what walks in the door? Well, Ken came in with this Daiwa AS4050, and it was much rougher. It's got the wrong handle on it. It does have a good foot on it, and it also was frozen back here with the drag, but I was able to put this into my new ultrasonic parts cleaner and get it up and running. I was able, it took it, I think it was 4 cycles, and even then it was still very, very hard, and I put a lot of tension on this knob trying to get it to come free, and it did finally break free, so I was able to get this going. So what we're going to do, and also, but what I wasn't able to do was get this screw to break loose, and it ended up snapping off. So because the paint on this rotor is in such bad shape, and even the chrome is looking pretty rough, what we're going to do is we're going to take this body from this reel and transfer it over to that one. Take the 2 reels and make one good one out of it. But in order to do that and make it look adequate, we're going to have to do a paint job on this to clean this up a little bit. So this body's going to be completely dismantled. Strip the paint off of it. I'm going to repaint it, get it together, and then we're going to take all the good parts off of this reel and transfer them over to this one, because these are better parts, all except the drag parts. The drag parts in this one are good, and we'll put it all back together and have us one good one. And here's the other thing, the anti-reverse claw in these reels. And I've got another one coming in. I think it's a AS130, I think is what it is. But anyway, I've got another one coming in. The claw in these, the spring for the claw was actually a rubber device. And that rubber device just turned into like a nasty, nasty black tar. It just completely melted and disintegrated. I've made a spring for this one, but I found when I went back into this one that somebody had previously done that with it as well. And I think we're going to make an even better spring to put on there, and I'll show you how we go about doing that. All right, so let's start off by stripping this one down, getting this wrong handle off of here. Let's see. I'm going to put those back together and put that into my handle box. All right, now we're going to take this spool off, and this spool can be cleaned up. The label's coming off of it, but it's still serviceable, but it's going to be put into the spare spool box. We're going to start stripping all this down. Let's go ahead and take the screws out of the side. Okay, we're going to take the side cover off. And again, this side cover is going to go into the parts bin, because the paint on the other one's in much better shape. The gear does not come out at this point. We have got to rotate this around. Why is it hanging? There we go. Bring that down. All right, now this is one of Chris's favorite things to do, and that is to get these C-clips off of here. I left them off on this other reel when I was into there because they're such a pain to get on and off. I will put them back in the finalized version. The real problem with this set is when they come off, there's not much clearance underneath, and they don't want to come all the way off. you have to kind of get them rotated around. So let's bring this around and get onto both sides of this E-clip at the same, or this is actually a C-clip. This is not an E-clip. There we go. And now see, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's down there, but it doesn't want to come all the way out. You have to kind of get underneath there and rotate it back around after you get it off in order to get it to come out. There we go. Otherwise, it stays down there and it gets hung up. And there's the C-clip. Right there. Okay, let's set that over here. Gotta get the other one off. Like I said, those are Chris's favorite, and I understand why he has so much trouble with them, because Chris can't see very well. And neither can I, but I am managing to see well enough to get these out. Had to break for a second, take my dog out. All right, let's go ahead, pull the axle shaft out, pull the gear out, and again, these parts are not going to be used. They're all going in the parts bin because the ones in the other one are so much smoother. We'll take out crosswind block, the gear, and don't lose that little clip, or little brass ring there. That's important to it. That gives it the proper spacing. And now we're going to go ahead and raise up this horseshoe clip, or try to. There we go. Get that up and out. And oh, did I tighten it down? Let's see here. All right, and all of these parts are not needed. Okay, now, but however, let's back up before we take this off. All right, let's come back to this, because this is what we're going to be talking about. Because this is my repair for the rubberized foot that originally was in here. And if you look, flip this over, okay, there used to be, where this washer is, there used to be a rubberized piece in here that went in, I believe it went into that hole right there, but there wasn't enough of it left to be able to really tell. But I believe what happened, I think it was a rubberized piece with a stud that came down off of it and went into there. And what would happen as this rotated around, it would push that back, and it would push back on the rubberized piece, which was up against this foot, and it would keep that piece, or cause it to snap back each time. That piece completely disintegrated. It turned into like tar. There was nothing left of it. It just looked like a blob of grease, black grease. And what I did is I made this spring to go in here to make this operate. Now there's one in the other one too that somebody else made. Theirs is designed to go under. The only problem with that design is it tends to, it's underneath this and causes it to have to sit at an angle. This one makes this sit straight, but then again, it's still pretty daggone loud when it clicks around. So I'm thinking, I used an 18,000th wire, and I'm thinking I'm going to drop down one more size and see if I can make one that may be just a little bit softer and still accomplish the same thing. But anyway, all this is coming off of this reel, and let's zoom back out. All of this is going to come off of this reel because we're going to repaint this. Here's the spring I made. Okay, I think I can make a little bit better quality spring than that. practice tends to make things get better. Okay, and we'll take that off. We're going to take this off. Our pinion gear comes out. Okay, none of these parts are going to be used, I don't believe, on this reel. Except maybe the claw. We'll see about the claw. The rest of that is all getting replaced. Let's go ahead and take the drag assembly apart. And this is the part that broke on the other one. All right, now we've got to take this click spring out. And it's simply a matter of pushing in on it over here, lifting this up and out like that, and then grabbing hold of it and pulling it out like that. All right, then pop this back on and unscrew this plastic piece out. Now this plastic piece is the piece that's broken on the other one, and it's snapped off right about there. Okay, leaving all this part down inside there. Now, I probably could have got that out and used this one in that body and not had to repaint. However, because the foot is broken off of this one, then I'm going to have to use this one over here because we're missing quite a bit of the foot. See? All right, so this is going to be our donor. And I just dumped the spring out on the floor, showing you that, which is okay because I got another one, but there it is. There's the spring. All right, that's got all of this. All right, now we're going to come back here, and now I've misplaced my screwdriver. All right. Now, when you're taking this screw off, you might want to hold on to this shaft over here because it's going to want to pop up because of this spring that's got on it right here. Okay, that's trying to push it up. See? Now, hold that down while you take the screw out and then take this knob off. And I had to pry this knob off the first time I took it off. All right. Now let's gently let this come up. Let it come out, and there's our spring. There's our shaft. All right. And that has everything removed off of this. And tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean it one more time in the parts cleaner. Okay, once I'm going to clean it with diesel fuel in my parts cleaner, and then I'm going to swap it out with hot soapy water and clean it once more. And then I'm going to sand it down again. Clean all this loose paint off, mask off the Daiwa AS4050, and we're going to spray this and get it cleaned up. But okay, I forgot to turn the camera on as I started taking this other one apart, but we're back and I've got it down to this point. And I want to show you what was set up in this other one for this anti-reverse. If you look on this one, they brought the hook spring up from underneath where it comes down and wraps around, comes out, and it's underneath. But see how it tends to lean that at an angle? It doesn't really hold that very straight. So that's why I really prefer, if I can, I'm going to try to put this on the top instead of on the bottom. Now, instead of my plastic washer that I put into mine, they took, this is rather interesting, they took a piece of copper wire and created a washer out of that. See there? And hey, that's a very viable solution. I plan to use the copper washer, and yeah, now we're going to take this anti-reverse lever off, and one of these two spring designs is probably going to end up getting used, or I'll make a new one. One more. Here's the spring that they put in. This one's a lot simpler design than mine. But again, it's a homemade spring put in to do the job. And it's simple. It replaces that rubber, and basically, so what you need is a spring and a washer that will fit over this post right here. All right, now I'm going to finish taking this apart. All these parts are going to go into the cleaner, and these are going to be the parts that actually end up in this reel, because this reel is so smooth when it's not operating. It's just that rear part here and the components inside. Okay, now let's go ahead, just like we did on the other, and we're going to take this spring out and the arm. Those go in for parts cleaning. I've got the horseshoe out now, so we can pull the pinion out. And there really isn't much here that's worth having. You can't get that screw out. We probably could prop the spring out. There we go. There's the spring out. Yeah, it's pretty corroded. And unfortunately, this plastic piece in here, it could be gotten out by going through and breaking it away. And if the foot were not broken on this, and that's exactly what I would do. I would go through in this channel and work on breaking this little plastic piece out all the way up until I got it out, and then I would clean out the threads, and the rest of that would all be usable. But because the foot's broken, to me, this is pretty much scrap. So, and that spring looks horrible. All right, I'll put it in the cleaner anyway. All right, for my parts cleaner, I've got this T-ball, and I take all the small parts and put them in there. That way I don't have to try to root them out from the bottom of the container. That spring, watch that spring, here we go, drop it in. The handle, the pinion, the screws, the nut, the bushing, and believe it or not, there's enough room in the T-ball for the main gear to go in. Put all that in, and I have changed my solution. I cleaned the part first in diesel fuel, and now I've got a solution of Dawn and hot water, and I'm going to hang this in there as well. Drop it in. This part's going to go in. Yeah, let's go ahead and take this apart too, and maybe put it in the T-ball. Let's see. And this is the part that's bad on the other reel and really needs to be replaced, so we're going to put this one on there. Okay. Okay, this part here will pop up out of there like that, and that allows us to take this trip mechanism. That's going to go in the ball along with those screws. Let's take the bail wire apart. There we go. Like so. Make sure that the roller freely moves, and it does. Okay, all of that's going to drop into the parts cleaner. Let's go ahead and unscrew the trip arm or the bail lever. That off, and there we go. It's got that off, and this is the screw that broke off on the other reel. And it is not corroded in this one, and that's good. There's our bail spring. Here we go. All right, take the rest of these and put them in the ball. The spring in, the screws, the lever assembly for the trip arm, and the bail arm. Close the ball up like that, and we're going to take, there's one more screw, although it's pretty clean, but we'll drop it in just to be sure. Okay, line up the locking plate, lock it down. All right, this is all ready to go in. All this is going to go in the parts cleaner like so, and I'll turn it on for 15 minutes and hopefully it'll all come out nice and clean. Okay, parts have been cleaned. I'm taking them out of the parts cleaner now. The other part, the body, has been cleaned up, straightened up. You know what? I'm going to go blow this. I'm going to keep this sealed up, and I'm going to go blow it out with the air compressor real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, here's what I have discovered. My parts cleaner does an excellent job of breaking down the really hard, crusty stuff, but anything that has not stayed there, the softer stuff, the softer greases and oils, it just wants to kind of leave them there, and it just breaks them down, but it doesn't dissolve them. So I did not have these in the diesel fuel to clean them up. So I just tried putting them in hot soapy water, and the hot soapy water in the cleaner did not want to completely dissolve all the old greases. So I think I'm going to experiment some more with cleaning solutions and see what I can come up with. However, it does do a really good job of getting down into all the crooks and crannies and breaking loose all the heavy stuff that was in there. Okay, so I'm going to skip you guys on past now, and I'm going to clean these parts up. And when I come back, the reel has now been, the body has been sanded down, cleaned up again, and primered, and it's waiting for its paint coat, and that should be coming here real soon, and I'll be back to you. All right, the body's been painted, and I'm waiting for it to dry. While that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and finish cleaning up this bail wire and the rotor assembly. I did not repaint the rotor. I left the original paint just like it was. I only repainted that bottom because well, first off, it was in really bad shape. So, all right, let's go ahead. We're going to put a dab of grease on the roller post, and we'll take a cotton swab and clean out the roller itself, like so. Make sure the ends are wiped off. I'll set the roller back on, like that. Make sure, let's go ahead and clean right up against that surface. Yeah, see that old dirt? It's all broke loose from being in the ultrasonic cleaner, but it's still on there, which is causing it to grind just a little bit. Oh, that feels much better. All right, let's put a dab of grease on it once more, and let's put that back. There we go. All right, we're going to clean out this as well. And I have had difficulty with these in the past. And what ends up working okay is just taking a screwdriver and scraping up in the corners like that, and then come back and wipe it out one more time. There we go. I'll set that back in place. And now, until we're ready to put it on, let's go ahead and just put the screw in, and that'll hold it right there until we're ready for it. Set that over to the side. Now we've got this assembly, and let's go ahead and wipe it out as well. It's all been blown out. Okay. All right, the first part of this rotor we're going to set in is going to be this spring, and we'll set it into place right here. And we'll take this, see this upward tag right here? That turned up point on that spring? Well, if you look, there's a hole right here in the lever assembly. We're going to slip that tag into that. Once we've done that, we can't allow this to go past the straight up and down point like this. So you have to kind of hold it in that position while you push it over and slip it into place. Let's go ahead and put our screw in that will hold this and keep that spring in place. There we go. All right, now we're going to put some grease in here where the spring's going to slide and on the spring itself. Now we're going to take this plate and slide it up under there like that. And now we're going to put the screw back in. If we've done that correctly, that should trip, and it does. Should be no binding. Now, just to make sure it stays that way, we're going to add a little oil here and a little bit of oil here. Exercise it a little bit. All right. Now we're ready to go to the other side where we have there it is. All right, on this side, we're going to put this trip arm assembly in. It just sits right here like that. Okay, but before we do that, we need to lubricate under it. So put some grease here, put a little bit here and here where it's going to slide and hit. And then this arm goes down like this with this post up. Once we've done that, we should be able to take this assembly right here and slide it over this to where, see how it moves that up and down? Okay, that's what's going to trip this arm and release it. All right, let's go ahead now and put that screw in. See how that moves? All right, let's go ahead now and put a little more grease on this backside where that's going to ride against this plate. And we'll slide that back in and put that screw in. Now we're going to come to the other side, take this back off, take the screw out. Where did the washer go? Okay. We're going to set this washer. The inset part goes against the roller. This goes up against here. Now there should be a lock washer on here. It goes inside here like that. And then on goes the screw. And we'll tighten that down. All right, we're going to add a little oil to this side under the head and a little bit here. I'm back. Have been waiting for the parts cleaner to shut down, and it has finally done so. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do next. I'm going to go ahead and see about making a new spring for this. And I'm going to do that using my drill, a drill bit, and some wire. And originally I used 18 thousandths wire to make the, I've decided I think I'm going to go just a little bit lighter. And I think the next size down I have, from 18 is going to be 14. And that's quite a bit smaller, so I'm not sure it's going to work. But I'm going to give it a try anyway. Okay. And this is supposed to be stainless steel wire, but it appears to be rusting on me out here in the garage. That's a bit of a disappointment. Okay. Go ahead and pull a strand of it out. There we go. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take and make a bend on the end of this 90-degree bend. Like so. And I'm going to take that bend and I'm going to slip it into my drill chuck beside the drill bit. Now, I'm going to need for this spring to come out and wind in a clockwise direction. So that's what I'm doing. I'm starting it off in a clockwise direction, and I'm going to, so I don't cut myself on, this is very thin wire. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab hold of it with my hemostats, and then I'm going to very slowly turn on my drill. I believe I am anyway. There, it's in the middle position. Wrong direction. And see if we can't pull a nice spring into it. There we go. And see how that works. I think that we're going to be too small, or too large, and we are. That's way too small. It didn't pull it down near as much as I wanted it to pull. So I'm going to have to use a much smaller drill bit to do this with. Okay. But it is a functional spring. But I do definitely need to pull it down to a smaller size. So I'm going to cut this one off. And we're going to start again. And I'm going to go to a smaller drill bit. So let's try it with a 3/16 drill bit. Okay. Okay. Tighten it down on the drill bit shank. Put our 90-degree bend. Like that. We're going to slide that into the drill chuck. And then slowly start this. Other way. Nope. Had it right to begin with. We want it to wrap around this way. Okay. Now I've got to be able to hold it nice and tight, so I'm going to use my hemostats to grab hold of it with. So I'm not cutting my fingers. Okay, let's shoot it down. Okay, that should be sufficient. Let's see what we've got for a spring. Not too bad. All right, we're going to cut this loose on this end, but we're going to leave it long, like that. And this end over here, I've got to bend this back up just a little bit. And then we've got to make our bend on it that fits up and up through the loop, or the hole in the, okay. So let's bend this up like so. Okay, we want to take some distance out, not far, and bend it up and around. Right about there. I'll bend this up like so. No, it needed to go down. Ouch. There we go. Bend it down. Like so. And then, what's my other bend I'm supposed to have? That will make it so that it fits here. Goes down through like that. And now we need to bend it over to the right. So I'll grab hold of it there like that, and we'll make another bend. Like that. Now let's see what we have. Now we have a spring that will go in like that. What do you think? And then once we put that behind the wall, it will hold it like that. Although we do want to come down. I did find this out. We want to make, this makes it a little bit more complicated of a bend, but it will make it fit better. Okay, we're going to go to right. Here. That's right there. And then we're going to bend it down slightly like that. And then we're going to come down just a little bit around like this. We're going to grab it again. Like so. Crimp it and then fold it once again. Like that. That will take and bring the spring down around the post like this. Okay, so that it will now fit there into that piece, and then we'll bring that around, and that's all going to fit. Look at that. Okay, so let's try that fit out. We're going to sit this in place like that. We're going to hook this into the hole like that and bring this over like so and bend it over to right there, and there you have it. And just to make sure, let's open it up just a hair and then re-bring it around to there. And I like that, but I'm afraid that the 14 is not going to be a strong enough spring. I don't know. Let's find out. I think 14 thousandths may be a little bit too thin. I'm going to put my 1/4 inch washer on here like that. Put my screw in. I don't know. Seems like it'd be a lot quieter. I don't know. That 14 is going to work fine. Okay, and the only additional thing to do is then to take this and bend this spring around that corner just a little bit. And then we'll snip it off once we get a good bend in it. Like that. There we have it. That's a well-made spring for the anti-reverse. The anti-reverse sits in there nice and straight. Okay. Well, so much for that. Something didn't hold. Oh, it's just the anti-reverse popped up because it's not on the... Okay. We're okay. Pull that over, set that back. Yeah. No spring came off. It's just... All right. Okay, once that paint is dry, and I'm going to have to give that a little while, we'll find out how that looks. Okay, you've just seen me make that piece, that spring. There it is. Here's the one we made for that. Okay, and we've got that set up. We've repainted this body. Let's go ahead and take the masking tape off. All right, so that's got that off. And the decal's in reasonably decent shape considering what all this reel's been through. It looks pretty good, I think. All right, let's make sure that we don't have so much paint in this hole that it's going to create a problem for the main gear. And it does not. Okay, so that's good. How about for the oscillation gear? No, we're good. Okay. All right. So in that case, I think we're ready to reassemble the anti-reverse portion of this. Okay, so let's go ahead and run the shaft through. Let's see, this one's a little eat up, so let's use this one because it's in really good shape. That looks very nice. Okay, and it's got the little spring. We'll take the spring and we'll hook it in right here like that. And we're going to take and put a little dab of grease here, a little dab of grease here, and then we're going to slide this anti-reverse override switch down in like this. All right, when we get it to this point right here, we want to take this spring and get this spring to come down and go into that hole. Right there. Just like that. Now it's going to want to do what it just did right there, which is twist. And if you've got something small like these hemostats that you can grab it with, that would be great. Small pair of needle nose pliers will work also. I just grab hold of it and rotate it so that it stays in the proper orientation as you slide it in. Okay, so put the spring in the hole and then slide this down into the body like that. and you're going to have to hold it because the spring's going to want to push that axle back up. All right, the next thing we're going to do is take our knob and put it on here, and then we'll take our screw, set that in place, and screw it down like that. There we have it. Next thing we're going to do, for a moment I misplaced the pinion gear because we left it in here when I got done. So let's go ahead and remove that. Make sure that is the right pinion gear. This is the correct pinion gear. All right. So we're going to get the pinion gear, and we're going to grease it along this shaft here, because that fits inside here and spins on that. And with that done, we'll come back and put grease on the actual gear itself instead of just the shaft. We're going to slide that down inside like so. Nice fit. And we've got some excess grease when all is said and done. So let's go ahead and wipe that off. There we go. Next to go on is going to be the clicker cog, like that. And here's where it starts to turn fun. And if you look right here, this is the one we took out. There are traces of that original left here. And you see what it turned to? It just turned to like a black mush. Okay? And we don't want that. So that's what we replaced with the spring. All right. We're going to put on the anti-reverse claw, like so. And then we're going to set this spring that I made, hook it in right here, put it over the post, the loop, and then we're going to take the end of it and hook it over this post over here. Holding all that in place, we're going to install this washer, slide it down so that it goes all the way over the post. Really could stand to have one slightly thicker, but that one's going to be okay. And we should have a functional anti-reverse when we flip the lever. And we do not. The spring is not getting the job done. Have I got it pinched? It was working perfectly fine before. Yeah, I think it was pinched. All right, there we go. There's our anti-reverse with the spring installed. And that's how you can go about replacing this and having your anti-reverse become functional on these reels again. Let's go ahead and put the rotor on. Slide it down and install the rotor locking nut. There we go. All right, we're going to take our oscillation gear, put some grease on it. Slide that in. And it is missing this little collar. One of these reels came in missing that. Well, we have one. So between the two reels, I think we're going to end up with a decent reel after all. Oh, that's the other thing causing this to go up. We are missing the locking plate right here. There. Now we've got that back in. Look, there we go. It's allowing the rotor to go up. Yeah, okay. Okay, we've got the oscillation gear in. We have our oscillation block. Put some grease on there. Set the oscillation block over it. And this is where it's going to get a little bit hairy, because now we're going to put our main gear in. Let's go ahead and grease it. Install that down into the body so that it lines up. There we go. And now is when I realized that I still haven't put the back end of this thing, which was what caused all the grief to begin with, back together again. Okay, so we're going to start off with this block assembly, and we're going to install this drag washer on the front of it. We'll slide that in, slide it all the way up until it drops in, and you can see the teeth on it right here, like that. Next is going to go the next drag washer. That slides in, and then goes this ear drag washer, which has got these two little ears, and they've got to go in these two slots on each side, like that. Then goes the spring, and last but not least is going to go this adjusting block. I'm going to screw that in. It's got a little anti-seize attached to it now, so that hopefully it won't bind up in there again. Screw it down until we make an opening here that we can put the spring in. Okay, start off, put the loop in the hole at the other end, bring this side down, lock it in, do the same thing on the other side. Both sides are locked. Now we can put the knob back on, get it to drop over the end. It's got teeth here and teeth there. We got to get it to go down onto that. There it goes. And then goes the big screw in the back. Now our drag is adjustable. Okay, we're going to loosen that up so that we can rotate the axle shaft as we install it. All right, all of these pieces are greased and ready to start going back in. I've put this together 2 or 3 times. I had an issue with grumbling gear, so I had to take it back out and do some shimming because of the new case that's not the same as the old case. So I had to take it back apart and work on it a little bit. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to install the oscillation gear, which has already been greased, and don't forget this little sleeve here. That was missing on one of them, one of the 2 reels. Okay, we're going to put the oscillation gear in. That slot right there goes over the top of that oscillation post, like that. All right, now this is where, hopefully this is going to be my final time. Originally, there were 2 shims on this side of the main gear, and I put it back together that way, and when I did, the gears made a kind of a grumbling sound when you would wind it. So I took one of those 2 shims off, and the grumbling went away. But we had side-to-side play on the crankshaft handle when you would. So I took, and I've gone and put that shim back in on the other side now to try to take up that play. So we're going to see where we stand. Let's go ahead and put the main gear back in. Let's go ahead now and slide back in the axle shaft, and it's all been oiled. I'm going to put it back in again. It's going to slide in, and before we can put it in, see these 2 grooves right here? those two grooves, that's where those two C-clips are going to go. We're going to reinstall those back in. Okay, this is going to slide in, goes through the oscillation block, goes into the drag mechanism in the back. Okay, you have to rotate it around so it will match up to it. Then we're going to install these two C-clips. And I'm going to use my hemostats to place the C-clip in place. And then with it in place, I'm going to use my screwdriver to snap it in. Like that. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. If you need me to blow it up a little bit so you can see it better, we will. Okay, put the C-clip on the little hemostats. If you got them great big ones, they don't do this very well. So you got to have the little ones for that. Okay, put that in, hold it in place, take my screwdriver and snap that one in place. That's got the axle shaft locked in. Let's go ahead now and reinstall the side plate. We'll put a little grease here where that shim washer's at. We'll put a little on the gear itself and on the shim washer. Let's set this back in place. Slide it down, get it to lock into place like that. And let's put these 3 screws back in. Zoom back out. Let's put the handle back on. It's going to be on the right-hand side because that's how Mario uses it. And we will reinstall this big screw that goes in the end. Okay. I took a lot of the side plate out of it. It still has a little bit. I could shim it again, but it's working fine. So I think we're good at that point. Okay. Let's go ahead. Put on the spool. Let's try the anti-reverse. There we go. Anti-reverse override. Okay. Try the drag. Tighten the drag down. Good. Tighten down some more. Even better. Okay, loosen the drag back up. And there you have the Daiwa AS4050. Oh, let's go ahead and fold over the handle and give it a shot of lube right there. First off, let's clean it out just a little bit. There. Now we'll give it a shot of oil. Okay, a little bit of lube here. And a little bit in the handle. And I think Mario's about ready to go fishing again. So, I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Tell me what you didn't like about it. And for now, that's Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels, signing out.